You know what's happening to you right now? That feeling of being completely worn out, that sense that you can't take another step, that exhaustion that seems to have settled into your very bones? That's not the end of your story. That's not you falling apart. That's actually the beginning of something magnificent. That tiredness you're carrying around isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're being prepared for something greater than you've ever experienced before. I want to talk to you today about something that most people completely misunderstand. We've been taught to fear exhaustion. We've been conditioned to see tiredness as weakness, to view our depletion as evidence that we're not strong enough, not capable enough, not worthy enough. But what if I told you that the exact opposite is true? What if the exhaustion you're feeling right now is actually sacred ground? What if it's the very place where transformation happens, where old versions of yourself fall away, and where something new and powerful is being born? Think about it for a moment. When have the greatest changes in your life occurred? Was it when everything was comfortable and easy? Was it when you were coasting along without any challenges? No. The real transformations happened when you were pushed to your limits. They happened when you thought you couldn't go on. They happened in those moments when you were so tired that your ego, that false self that tries to control everything, finally stepped aside and let something greater take over. That's what's happening to you right now. The universe, God, the divine intelligence that flows through everything. It's not punishing you with this exhaustion. It's actually doing something incredibly loving. It's breaking down the walls you've built around yourself. It's dismantling the false beliefs that have kept you small. It's clearing away all the debris of your old life so that something new can emerge. You see, we spend so much of our lives building up these identities. We create these ideas about who we are, what we can do, what we deserve, what's possible for us. And these identities, these beliefs, they become like armor. We think they're protecting us, but really they're imprisoning us. They keep us stuck in patterns that don't serve us. They prevent us from becoming who we're truly meant to be. And the only way to break through that armor? Exhaustion, complete and total depletion. Because when you're exhausted, when you're worn down to nothing, that armor falls away. You don't have the energy anymore to maintain all those false beliefs. You don't have the strength to keep pretending, to keep performing, to keep being someone you're not. And in that moment of surrender, in that moment when you finally let go, that's when the real magic happens. I want you to understand something fundamental about how growth works. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It doesn't happen when you're well rested and everything is going according to plan. Growth happens in the breakdown. It happens in the moments when you feel like you're falling apart. Because you're not falling apart. You're actually falling together in a new way. Think about a seed. A seed doesn't become a flower by staying comfortable in the soil. It has to break open. It has to crack apart. And I'm sure if that seed could feel anything, it would feel like it was being destroyed. It would feel exhausted from the effort of pushing through the soil. It would wonder if it's ever going to make it. But that breaking open, that exhaustion, that struggle, that's not the end. That's the beginning of the flower. You're that seed right now. And yes, it feels like you're breaking open. Yes, it feels exhausting. Yes, there are moments when you wonder if you're going to make it through, but I promise you, something beautiful is trying to emerge through you. Something that couldn't come through the old version of yourself. Something that requires this breaking open, this exhaustion, this surrender. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be saying, but I've been exhausted for so long. When does this transformation actually happen? When do I start to feel better? And that's a valid question, but here's what you need to understand. The transformation isn't something that happens after the exhaustion ends. The transformation is happening right now, in the middle of the exhaustion. Every moment that you're tired, every moment that you're struggling, every moment that you want to give up but you keep going anyway, that's when you're being rebuilt. The problem is that we want to rush through the hard parts. We want to skip from the breakdown to the breakthrough without going through the process. But that's not how it works. You can't microwave transformation. You can't hurry the process of becoming who you're meant to be. There's a timing to these things. There's a divine rhythm, and your job isn't to control it or speed it up. Your job is to trust it. Trust that what's happening to you is happening for you, not to you. Trust that this exhaustion has a purpose. Trust that you're being held, even when it doesn't feel like it. Trust that there's an intelligence at work here that's far greater than your conscious mind can comprehend. You know what most people do when they hit this point of exhaustion? They fight it, they resist it, they try to power through it with sheer willpower. They drink more coffee, they push harder, they ignore their body's signals, they override their intuition, and what happens? They get more exhausted, they get sick, they burn out completely. Because you cannot win a fight against the universe. You cannot overcome divine timing with human effort. The way through exhaustion isn't more effort, it's surrender, it's acceptance, it's saying, okay, I don't understand why I'm going through this, but I'm willing to go through it. I'm willing to be in this uncomfortable place. I'm willing to let the old version of me die so that something new can be born. And when you do that, when you stop fighting and start flowing, something shifts. The exhaustion doesn't necessarily disappear immediately, but your relationship to it changes. Instead of seeing it as your enemy, you start to see it as your teacher. Instead of resisting it, you start to learn from it. You start to ask better questions. Not, why is this happening to me? But what is this trying to teach me? What am I being prepared for? What old patterns am I being asked to release? Because here's the truth. You're not being exhausted randomly. The areas where you're most tired, those are the areas where you've been working the hardest to maintain control. Those are the areas where you've been trying to force outcomes instead of allowing them. Those are the areas where you've been living from your ego instead of your spirit. Maybe you're exhausted from trying to please everyone. Maybe you're worn out from pretending to be someone you're not. Maybe you're depleted from chasing goals that don't actually matter to you. Maybe you're tired from holding on to relationships that ended a long time ago. Maybe you're exhausted from carrying other people's expectations on your shoulders. Whatever it is, that exhaustion is your wake-up call. It's life tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, this isn't working anymore. This way of being, this way of living, it's not aligned with your truth. It's time for something different. And yes, it's scary to let go. It's terrifying to release control. It's uncomfortable to not know what comes next. But I want you to consider something. What's more scary? Staying exhausted for the rest of your life, living in a way that doesn't honor who you really are, or going through this temporary discomfort so that you can emerge as your authentic self? The choice is yours. But understand this. If you choose to keep fighting, if you choose to keep resisting, if you choose to keep trying to go back to the way things were, the exhaustion will continue. It will get worse. Because life will keep trying to get your attention until you finally listen. But if you choose to surrender, if you choose to trust, if you choose to let yourself be rebuilt, then this exhaustion will eventually transform into energy. Not the frantic, forced energy of the ego, but the sustainable, peaceful energy of alignment. The energy that comes when you're finally living in harmony with your true nature. The energy that flows when you stop swimming against the current and start moving with it. Now let me be clear about something. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive or lazy. It doesn't mean lying in bed all day feeling sorry for yourself. Surrender is active. Surrender is powerful. Surrender is saying, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to rest when I need to rest. I'm going to say no to things that drain me. I'm going to create space in my life for the new to emerge. And I'm going to trust that as I do these things, I'm being guided towards something better. This is about honoring your exhaustion instead of ignoring it. It's about listening to your body instead of overriding it. It's about being gentle with yourself instead of harsh. It's about recognizing that you're not a machine that needs to keep producing. You're a human being who needs time to rest, to reflect, to integrate, to transform. And here's something beautiful that happens when you start to honor your exhaustion. You start to realize that you don't need to do nearly as much as you thought you did. So many of the things you've been exhausting yourself over, they weren't even that important. They were just things you thought you should do, things that other people expected, things that your ego convinced you were necessary. But when you're too tired to do all those things, when you're forced to prioritize, you start to see what actually matters. You start to see where your true responsibilities lie. You start to see what brings you genuine joy and what's just noise. And in that clarity, you find your path forward. The exhaustion is burning away everything that's not essential. It's like a forest fire that clears out the undergrowth so that new growth can happen. It feels destructive while it's happening, but it's actually deeply creative. It's making space, it's creating possibility, it's preparing the ground for something new. And what is that something new? It's you, the real you, not the you that you've been pretending to be, not the you that's been trying to meet everyone else's expectations, not the you that's been running on autopilot following scripts that were written by other people, but the authentic, genuine, true you that's been waiting underneath all of that to emerge. That version of you, it's powerful, it's creative, it's connected to something much larger than itself. It's aligned with the flow of the universe. And it doesn't get exhausted the way the false you does, because it's not fighting against life. It's moving with life. But to access that version of yourself, the old version has to get out of the way. And the old version doesn't usually leave voluntarily. It has to be worn down. It has to be exhausted. It has to reach a point where it finally says, okay, I give up. I can't do this anymore. And that's exactly where you are right now. You're at that breaking point. And it's not a bad place to be. It's actually the most sacred place you could be, because on the other side of this breaking point is your breakthrough. On the other side of this exhaustion is your energy. On the other side of this ending is your new beginning. But you have to be willing to stay in the uncertainty. You have to be willing to not know how it's all going to turn out. You have to be willing to trust that the same force that's breaking you down is also the force that's going to build you back up. And it will. Not in the image of who you used to be, but in the image of who you're meant to become. I want to share something with you that might shift your perspective. Every single person who has ever done something significant, who has ever made a real difference, who has ever lived a truly meaningful life, has gone through this process. They've all hit this wall of exhaustion. They've all had moments where they wanted to quit. They've all wondered if they were going to make it through. But the ones who did make it through, they didn't do it by being tougher than everyone else. They didn't do it by having more willpower or more discipline. They did it by surrendering. They did it by accepting where they were. They did it by trusting the process. They did it by saying yes to their transformation, even when it was uncomfortable. And here's the thing. You have that same capacity. You have that same strength. You have that same ability to trust and surrender and transform. It's not something special that only certain people have. It's your birthright. It's who you are at your core. You just have to remember it. The exhaustion is helping you remember. It's stripping away all the false layers. It's removing all the pretenses. It's getting you down to your essence. And your essence is pure potential. Your essence is creative power. Your essence is love. Your essence is connected to the source of all life. When you're operating from that essence, life becomes effortless. Not easy necessarily, but effortless. There's a flow to it. There's a grace to it. Things happen in ways you couldn't have planned. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. People show up with exactly what you need. Opportunities appear at just the right time. But you can't force that flow. You can't make it happen through sheer effort. You can only allow it. And you allow it by getting out of your own way, by letting go of control, by surrendering to what is instead of fighting for what you think should be. Your exhaustion is showing you where you've been fighting. It's showing you where you've been forcing. It's showing you where you've been trying to control outcomes instead of trusting the process. And now it's time to stop fighting. It's time to stop forcing. It's time to stop controlling. It's time to rest. And I don't just mean physical rest, although that's important too. I mean spiritual rest, mental rest, emotional rest, rest from the constant doing and striving and achieving, rest from the endless need to prove yourself, rest from the belief that your worth is based on your productivity. You are worthy simply because you exist. You don't have to earn your place in this world. You don't have to justify your existence through accomplishments. You're not here to be a productivity machine. You're here to be yourself. You're here to experience life. You're here to grow and learn and love and contribute in your own unique way. So instead of cursing your tiredness, what if you blessed it? What if you thanked it for showing you what needs to change? What if you honored it as the sacred teacher that it is? What if you saw it not as your enemy, but as your guide, leading you toward a better way of being? That shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop resisting your exhaustion and start accepting it, when you stop fighting against it and start learning from it, when you stop seeing it as a problem and start seeing it as a solution, then you move into alignment with what's actually happening. You move into flow. You move into grace. And from that place of acceptance, healing begins. Transformation accelerates. New possibilities open up because you're no longer blocking the process with your resistance. You're allowing it. You're cooperating with it. You're saying yes to your own evolution. This is what it means to be rebuilt. It's not that someone else comes in and fixes you. It's that you allow yourself to be transformed from the inside out. You allow the old patterns to fall away. You allow the false beliefs to dissolve. You allow your true self to emerge. And your true self is magnificent. It's powerful beyond measure. It's creative beyond imagination. It's loving beyond boundaries. It's wise beyond your years. It's everything you've ever wanted to be. And it's been inside you all along, just waiting for you to clear away the obstacles so it could come forth. The exhaustion is clearing those obstacles. Every day that you're tired, every moment that you're struggling, every time that you want to give up but you keep going anyway, you're clearing away more debris. You're making more space. space. You're preparing more ground for your true self to take root and grow. So be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. You're going through something significant. You're being transformed at the deepest levels. That's not something that happens quickly or easily. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes surrender. And yes, it's hard. I'm not going to tell you it's not hard. It is hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever go through. But it's also one of the most rewarding, because on the other side of this hardship is a version of yourself that you'll be proud to be, a version that's authentic and aligned and alive in ways you've never experienced before. Think about what your life could look like when you're no longer exhausting yourself trying to be someone you're not. Think about how much energy you'll have when you're no longer fighting against your own nature. Think about how peaceful you'll feel when you're finally living in alignment with your truth. That's what's waiting for you. That's what you're being rebuilt into. That's the promise of this exhaustion. Not that you'll go back to how things were, but that you'll move forward into something better, something truer, something more aligned with who you really are and what you're really here to do. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you go through this process, once you allow yourself to be broken down and rebuilt, you become a light for others who are going through the same thing. You become living proof that exhaustion isn't the end. You become evidence that transformation is possible. You become a guide for others who are lost in the darkness of their own breaking point. That's the gift in all of this. Not just what you gain personally, but what you become able to give to others. Your struggle becomes your strength. Your exhaustion becomes your expertise. Your breakdown becomes your breakthrough, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch. So when you're in the middle of the exhaustion, when you can't see any light at the end of the tunnel, when you wonder if you're ever going to feel normal again, remember this. You're not alone. You're being held by a force much greater than yourself. You're being guided by an intelligence that knows exactly what you need. You're being rebuilt into something more beautiful than you can currently see. Trust the process. Trust your exhaustion. Trust that every moment of struggle is actually a moment of growth. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Trust that this is all working out for your highest good, even when it doesn't feel like it. And most importantly, trust yourself. Trust that you have the strength to get through this. Trust that you have the wisdom to know what you need. Trust that you have the courage to let go of what's no longer serving you and step into what's calling you forward. You do have that strength. You do have that wisdom. You do have that courage. It's all inside you right now. The exhaustion hasn't taken it away. It's actually revealing it, because when everything else falls away, when you're too tired to pretend or perform or protect yourself, what's left is your true essence. And that essence is strong. That essence is wise. That essence is courageous beyond measure. So let yourself be tired. Let yourself be exhausted. Let yourself be in this uncomfortable place of transformation, because it's not going to last forever. Nothing does. But while you're in it, while you're being rebuilt, honor the process, respect the journey, trust the timing, and know this with absolute certainty. You are not being destroyed. You are being transformed. You are not falling apart. You are falling together in a new way. You are not ending. You are beginning. The exhaustion you feel is not the end of your story. It's the very place where your new story is being written. God is rebuilding you. The universe is recreating you. Life is reshaping you. And when the rebuilding is complete, when you emerge from this cocoon of exhaustion, you will fly in ways you never thought possible. You will soar to heights you never imagined. You will live with a freedom and joy and purpose that makes every moment of the struggle worthwhile. So hold on, keep going, trust the process. Your breakthrough is coming. Your energy is returning. Your new life is forming right now. In this very moment, in this sacred place of exhaustion where God is rebuilding you into everything you were always meant to be. The exhaustion you feel is not a curse. It is a blessing. It is not a punishment. It is a preparation. It is not the end. It is the beginning, and the best is yet to come. You've been waiting for this moment your entire life, whether you knew it or not. Right now, in this very instant, something magnificent is unfolding within you. The universe has been preparing you, shaping you, molding you through every experience, every heartbreak, every triumph, and every seeming failure. Nothing has been random. Nothing has been wasted. Every single step you've taken has led you to this precious moment of awakening. There's a reason you're hearing these words right now. There's a reason your heart is stirring with recognition. You are among those who have been called, chosen not by some distant deity looking down from the clouds, but chosen by the very force of creation that flows through you. You are not separate from God. You are not apart from the divine intelligence that orchestrates the entire cosmos. You are an expression of it, a unique and irreplaceable manifestation of infinite possibility. For too long, you've been told that you're small, that you're limited, that you're unworthy. You've been conditioned to believe that you need to seek approval from outside yourself, that your value comes from what others think of you, from the job you hold, from the size of your bank account, from the achievements you can display like trophies on a shelf. But today, right now, those old beliefs are crumbling. They're falling away like old skin that no longer fits the magnificent being you're becoming. The truth that's been waiting to reveal itself to you is this: you are enough. You have always been enough. You were born enough. Before you accomplished a single thing, before you proved yourself to anyone, before you earned your first dollar or received your first praise, you were already complete, already whole, already worthy of every good thing this universe has to offer. But being chosen doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're above others or more special in a way that diminishes another person's light. Being chosen simply means you've awakened to the truth of who you really are. It means you've stopped playing the game of pretending to be less than you are. It means you've finally said yes to your own magnificence, to your own divine nature, to the calling that's been whispering to you in the quiet moments of your life. You see, God has been speaking to you all along, not through thunderbolts or burning bushes, though those dramatic moments certainly have their place in our collective stories. No, the divine has been speaking to you through your desires, through your dreams, through that persistent feeling that there's something more, something bigger that you're meant to do, meant to be, meant to experience. Every time you felt that longing for something greater, that was God calling you home to yourself. And here's what you need to understand about this calling. It's not asking you to become someone you're not. It's not demanding that you twist yourself into some unnatural shape to fit someone else's idea of what spiritual or successful or worthy looks like. The calling is asking you to peel away everything that isn't truly you. It's asking you to remove the masks, to drop the pretense, to stop performing for an audience that doesn't matter. You've spent so much energy trying to be what others expected. Your parents had their ideas about who you should be, what you should study, what career you should pursue, who you should marry, how you should live. Your teachers had their expectations, your friends had their opinions, society had its rules and regulations about the proper way to live a life, and somewhere along the way, you forgot to ask the most important question: what do I want? Who am I when nobody's watching? What makes my soul sing? The moment you start asking these questions, everything changes, because these questions reconnect you with your source, with that infinite intelligence that brought you into being. And when you're connected to your source, when you're aligned with your true nature, you become unstoppable. Not in an aggressive, forceful way, but in the way that water is unstoppable. Water doesn't fight, water doesn't struggle, water simply flows, and in its flowing, it shapes mountains, carves canyons, nourishes all life. That's the kind of power you have access to when you align with who you really are. But alignment requires something from you. It requires that you become honest, brutally honest with yourself. You can no longer afford to lie to yourself about what you're feeling, about what you want, about what's working and what isn't. You can no longer pretend that you're happy in that job that drains your life force. You can no longer act as if that relationship that demeans you is somehow acceptable. You can no longer convince yourself that settling for less than your dreams is being realistic. Realism, as most people define it, is just a fancy word for giving up. It's a way of justifying the choice to stop growing, to stop reaching, to stop believing in the impossible. But you weren't put on this earth to be realistic. You were put here to be magical, to be miraculous, to demonstrate what's possible when a human being decides to live in alignment with infinite possibility rather than finite limitation. Now, I know what your mind is doing right now. It's starting to whisper those old familiar doubts. Who am I to think I'm special? Who am I to believe I'm chosen? Who am I to claim I deserve more? And here's what you need to say back to that voice. Who am I not to? Who am I to play small when the very force that created galaxies lives inside me? Who am I to hide my light when the world is desperate for people who are willing to shine? Your playing small doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't make others feel better about themselves. It doesn't make you more humble or more spiritual. It just robs the world of your unique gifts, your unique perspective, your unique contribution. And make no mistake, you have something to contribute that no one else can. There is something you can do, something you can create, something you can express that only you, in your absolute uniqueness, can bring into existence. God didn't make duplicates. God made originals. You're not here to be a copy of someone else, no matter how successful or enlightened or perfect they might seem. You're here to be the first and only version of you that will ever exist. That's your purpose. That's your mission. To be so completely, unapologetically yourself that your very presence gives others permission to do the same. But here's where most people get stuck. They wait. They wait for permission. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel ready, until they have more money, more time, more knowledge, more confidence. They wait until the conditions are just right. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. While they're waiting, their dreams are withering. While they're waiting, the world is missing out on their gifts. There is no perfect time. There is only now. This moment is all you ever have. The future is just an idea, a concept, a story you tell yourself. The past is gone, dissolved into the infinite ocean of what was. All your power, all your creative ability, all your divine potential exists right here, right now, in this eternal present moment. And when you fully show up in this moment, when you bring all of yourself to what's right in front of you, miracles happen. Miracles aren't violations of natural law. Miracles are what happen when you align yourself with the highest laws of the universe. When you align with love instead of fear, with abundance instead of scarcity, with possibility instead of limitation, you begin to experience what seems miraculous from the perspective of the old limited way of seeing. But from the perspective of your true nature, miracles are simply the natural result of being who you really are. And who you really are is so much more than this body, so much more than this personality, so much more than this story you've been telling yourself about your life. You are consciousness itself, experiencing itself through this unique form. You are the universe looking at itself through your eyes. You are God in human disguise, and the disguise has become so convincing that you forgot who you are underneath the costume. But the forgetting was part of the plan. You had to forget so you could remember. You had to lose yourself so you could find yourself. You had to go through the darkness so you could truly appreciate the light. Every struggle you've faced, every obstacle you've overcome, every dark night of the soul you've endured, it was all preparing you for this moment of recognition, this moment of remembering, this moment of coming home to your true self. And now that you're remembering, now that you're waking up, you have a responsibility. Not a burden, but a joyful responsibility. You have a responsibility to live from this awareness, to act from this knowing, to make choices based on who you really are rather than who you've been pretending to be. This means you might have to make some changes. You might have to let go of relationships that no longer align with your truth. You might have to leave situations that were comfortable but stifling. You might have to disappoint some people who've grown accustomed to the smaller version of you. And yes, this might be uncomfortable. Change always is. But discomfort is not the same as wrong. Sometimes the most uncomfortable choices are the ones that lead to the most extraordinary transformations. Think about the caterpillar in the cocoon. If you could ask it what it was feeling during that transformation, I guarantee it wouldn't describe the experience as comfortable. The caterpillar literally dissolves. Its entire body breaks down into a kind of cellular soup before reorganizing into something completely new. That's intense. That's uncomfortable. But would you tell the caterpillar not to go through that process? Would you say it should stay comfortable and remain a caterpillar forever? Of course not. Because you know that on the other side of that discomfort is the ability to fly. You're in your cocoon right now. You might not see it yet, but you're dissolving. The old you is breaking down and something new, something magnificent, something with wings is forming. Don't resist the process. Don't judge yourself for the discomfort. Don't think something's wrong because it doesn't feel easy. Transformation is rarely easy, but it's always worth it. And here's something beautiful about this process. You don't have to do it alone. You're not isolated. You're not separate. You're part of an interconnected web of consciousness that includes every being who has ever lived, who is living now, and who will ever live. You have access to infinite wisdom, infinite guidance, infinite support. All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is open yourself to receive. But asking requires humility. It requires you to admit that you don't have all the answers, that you can't figure everything out with your rational mind alone, that you need help from something greater than your limited ego self. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom, that's strength. The strongest people are the ones who know when to ask for help, who understand that independence is an illusion and that we're all fundamentally interdependent. So ask for guidance, ask for clarity, ask for strength, ask for courage, ask for whatever you need, and then pay attention. because the answers will come, though not always in the form you expect. The guidance might come through a conversation with a stranger, through a book that falls off the shelf at just the right moment, through a dream, through a feeling, through a knowing that arises from somewhere beyond your thinking mind. The universe is always speaking to you, always guiding you, always supporting you, but you have to tune in to the right frequency. You have to quiet the noise of the world, the constant chatter of your mind, the endless stream of distractions that keep you from hearing the still small voice within. That voice is always there, always available, always pointing you toward your highest good. And your highest good is not what your ego thinks it should be. Your ego wants security, comfort, approval, control. Those aren't bad things, but they're not your highest good. Your highest good is growth, expansion, the full expression of your divine potential. Your highest good is becoming more of who you really are, shedding more of who you're not, aligning more completely with love, with truth, with the infinite creative intelligence that animates all of existence. This alignment is what people mean when they talk about being in the flow, being in the zone, being in the sweet spot. When you're aligned, everything feels easier, not because life stops presenting challenges, but because you stop resisting. You stop fighting against what is. You stop trying to force things to be different than they are. You accept what is, and from that acceptance, you create what can be. Acceptance is not resignation. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is seeing clearly without the distortion of judgment or resistance. When you see clearly, you can respond appropriately. When you see clearly, you make wise choices. When you see clearly, you access a power that's not available to you when you're caught up in resistance and judgment. And part of seeing clearly is recognizing that everything is happening for you, not to you. Every experience, even the painful ones, even the ones you wouldn't have chosen, is serving your growth, serving your evolution, serving your awakening. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. There's only a divine intelligence orchestrating everything in a way that serves the highest good of all, even when you can't see the bigger picture, even when it doesn't make sense to your limited perspective. This is where trust comes in. Trust is the foundation of a spiritual life. Trust is what allows you to let go of control, to stop micromanaging every detail, to stop trying to figure everything out before you take the next step. Trust is what allows you to walk forward in faith, knowing that you're being guided, knowing that you're being supported, knowing that even when you can't see the path ahead, the path is there. But trust doesn't mean being passive. Trust doesn't mean sitting around waiting for life to happen to you. Trust is active. Trust is engaged. Trust says, I'll do everything I can, and then I'll trust the universe to do what I cannot. Trust says, I'll take the next step without knowing exactly where it leads, because I know I'm being guided. Trust says, I'll follow my intuition even when it doesn't make logical sense, because there's an intelligence working through me that's greater than my rational mind. Your intuition is God speaking through you. Your intuition is that knowing that comes from beyond your thinking, that guidance that arises from your connection to Source. And the more you honor your intuition, the more you follow those subtle promptings, the stronger that connection becomes. The more you ignore your intuition, the more you override that inner wisdom with your rational analysis or your fear-based thinking, the weaker that connection becomes. So start listening. Start paying attention to what feels right, to what feels aligned, to what feels true. Your body knows. Your heart knows. There's a wisdom in you that's beyond words, beyond logic, beyond anything your mind can comprehend. And when you learn to access that wisdom, when you learn to live from that place, you become a conduit for miracles. You become a force for good in the world. You become an example of what's possible when a human being lives in full alignment with their divine nature. And as you step into this alignment, as you claim your place among the chosen ones, you'll notice something interesting happening. The people around you will start to change. Not because you're trying to change them, but because your energy is different. When you change, the world around you changes. When you raise your vibration, everything that's not a match for that new vibration has to fall away or transform. Some people will be inspired by your transformation. They'll want to know what's different about you. They'll want to experience what you're experiencing. These are the people who are ready for their own awakening, and you'll become a catalyst for their transformation. You don't have to preach. You don't have to convince. You just have to be. Your presence, your energy, your way of moving through the world will be the teaching. Other people will resist your transformation. They'll try to pull you back into the old patterns, the old ways of being. They'll make you feel guilty for changing. They'll accuse you of thinking you're better than them. They'll do everything they can to keep you small because your growth threatens their comfort. And you have to let them go, not with anger, not with judgment, but with love and compassion, knowing that they're not ready yet, knowing that they're still learning what they need to learn, knowing that their path is their own, and it's not your job to save them or fix them or make them see what they're not ready to see. Your only job is to be true to yourself. Your only job is to honor your own path, your own truth, your own calling. When you do that, when you live in integrity with who you really are, you give others permission to do the same. You become a light that helps guide others home to themselves. Not by telling them what to do, not by imposing your beliefs on them, but simply by showing them what's possible, by demonstrating what happens when someone has the courage to be themselves. And courage is exactly what it takes. It takes courage to stand in your truth when everyone around you is living in illusion. It takes courage to follow your heart when logic is screaming at you to play it safe. It takes courage to believe in yourself when you've been told your whole life that you're not enough. It takes courage to step into your power when you've been conditioned to believe that power is something to be feared or that claiming your power makes you selfish or arrogant. But real power isn't about dominating others. Real power isn't about getting your way at someone else's expense. Real power is the ability to remain centered in your truth, regardless of what's happening around you. Real power is the capacity to choose love over fear again and again and again, even when fear seems like the more rational choice. Real power is knowing who you are so completely that nothing external can shake your foundation. This is the power you're being called to claim. This is the inheritance that's been waiting for you. You are not here to be a victim of circumstance. You are not here to be tossed around by the winds of fate. You are here to be a conscious creator, to be a deliberate manifester of your reality, to be an active participant in the unfolding of your destiny. And manifestation isn't some magical thinking where you just visualize what you want and it appears out of thin air. Manifestation is the natural result of alignment. When you align your thoughts with your desires, when you align your beliefs with your dreams, when you align your actions with your vision, the universe has no choice but to reflect that alignment back to you. You become a magnet for the experiences, the people, the opportunities that match your vibration. But if you're vibrating at the frequency of lack, if you're constantly thinking about what you don't have, what's wrong, what's missing, you'll keep attracting more of that. If you're vibrating at the frequency of unworthiness, if you believe you don't deserve good things, the universe will mirror that belief right back to you. Your external reality is always a perfect reflection of your internal state. Always, without exception. So if you want to change your life, change your mind. Change what you believe about yourself. Change what you believe is possible. Change the story you're telling yourself about who you are and what you can do and what you deserve. Because the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. If you tell yourself you're stuck, you'll be stuck. If you tell yourself you're limited, you'll be limited. If you tell yourself you're unworthy, you'll experience unworthiness. But if you tell yourself you're powerful beyond measure, if you tell yourself you're a beloved child of the universe, if you tell yourself you're here for a sacred purpose, everything changes. Everything. The same circumstances that once felt like obstacles become opportunities. The same challenges that once felt overwhelming become exciting adventures. The same life that once felt meaningless becomes rich with significance and purpose. This shift in perspective is what spiritual teachers have been pointing to for thousands of years. It's what they mean when they talk about enlightenment, about awakening, about salvation. It's not about going somewhere else. It's not about becoming someone different. It's about seeing clearly what's already true, about recognizing what's been here all along, about waking up from the dream of separation and limitation. You are not separate from God. You are not separate from anyone or anything. Separation is the illusion. Unity is the truth. At the deepest level of reality, we are all one. We are all connected. We are all expressions of the same infinite consciousness experiencing itself in different forms. When you hurt another, you hurt yourself. When you love another, you love yourself. There is no other. There is only the one appearing as the many. And when you live from this awareness of unity, when you see the divine in every person you meet, when you recognize that every situation is serving your growth, when you understand that you are both the creator and the created, life becomes a sacred adventure. Life becomes a love affair between you and the universe. Life becomes an opportunity to express the infinite in finite form, to bring heaven to earth, to make the invisible visible. This is what you were born to do. This is why you're here. Not to accumulate more stuff, not to achieve more success, not to prove your worth to anyone. You're here to remember who you are and to live from that remembrance. You're here to be a clear channel for divine love, divine creativity, divine intelligence to flow through. You're here to add your unique note to the cosmic symphony, to paint your unique color on the canvas of existence, to contribute your verse to the poetry of life. And your verse matters. Your contribution matters. You matter. Not because of what you do or what you achieve or what you accomplish, but because you exist. Your existence is not an accident. Your life is not meaningless. You are a necessary part of the whole. The universe would be incomplete without you. God would be incomplete without you, because you are not separate from God. You are God in expression, God in action, God experiencing itself through this unique form called you. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to be who you are. The permission you've been waiting for can only come from you. The readiness you've been seeking will never come, because you're as ready now as you'll ever be. The approval you've been craving is available right now from the only source that truly matters, yourself. Approve of yourself. Accept yourself. Love yourself. Not in some narcissistic, self-absorbed way, but in a deep, profound recognition of your divine nature. Love yourself the way God loves you, unconditionally, completely, without reservation. And from that foundation of self-love, everything else flows naturally. From that foundation, you can love others without needing anything from them. From that foundation, you can give freely without expecting anything in return. From that foundation, you can live with an open heart, knowing that even if you get hurt, you have the resilience to heal, the wisdom to learn, the courage to try again. This is the message that's been waiting to be delivered to you. This is what God has been trying to tell you through every experience, every relationship, every challenge, every triumph. You are loved. You are worthy. You are enough. You are powerful. You are here for a reason. And that reason is simply to be yourself, to express yourself, to enjoy yourself, to love yourself, and to extend that love to everyone you meet. The waiting is over. The preparation is complete. The moment is now. You are ready. You have always been ready. The chosen one is not someone else. The chosen one is you. It has always been you. It will always be you. There is no one else coming to save you, to fix you, to complete you. You are the one you've been waiting for. You are the answer to your own prayers. You are the hero of your own story. So step into that role. Claim your power. Own your truth. Live your purpose. Be the magnificent being you were created to be. The world is waiting for you. Your life is waiting for you. Your destiny is waiting for you. All you have to do is say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to your dreams. Say yes to the infinite possibility that exists within you and all around you. Say yes to love. Say yes to life. Say yes to the adventure of becoming who you really are. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your awakening. Welcome home.